What's good, YouTube? This is Chris coming at you live with another video again today. I'm going to be going into why the newest Sonic title, releasing in 2022, needs to resemble Sonic Adventure more than a new, modernized game, something like Forces. We will be doing a comparison between elements of gameplay and storytelling between Sonic Adventure 1 and Sonic Forces. I'll make my case for the game Sonic Rangers, which should draw the most inspiration from. To be honest, this game may even need to resemble Sonic 06 more than Sonic Forces. And I'm saying this unironically. At least 06 tried, which is more to be said than for whatever Forces was trying to be. Sonic Team needs to revolutionize this franchise because we cannot afford another flop again. Now, we all know the most recent installment to the mainline Sonic series was Sonic Forces, and I think we can all agree that it has been mediocre at best. This is not a revolutionary take, and I'm not trying to be some type of edgy reactionary by making this claim, but bear with me because I think this is an important discussion to have. I actually don't think Forces is as bad as some people have made it out to be, but it's clear that this game is lacking passion and innovation that we were accustomed to in the earlier stages of this franchise. It really just feels mediocre and kind of low budget, considering the amount of time between this game and Sonic Lost World. Despite coming out nearly 20 years later than SA1 and having nearly an infinite, pun intended, amount of additional resources at its disposal, Forces pales in comparison to a more raw project like SA1. We understand that SA1 has its flaws, but it's obvious that the concepts that made the Sonic series great were at the forefront of Sonic Team's mind when creating this game. We need to demand this level of innovation when it comes to Sonic Rangers. As far as ambition goes, this needs to be the most ambitious title to date to get Sonic back on track. So for this video, the first thing I want to look at is the gameplay of both games. I think we might be seeing a mix of both the adventure style as well as the boosting style, according to the leaks, but it's very important that Sega makes the distinction between the strengths of each formula and why we primarily need an adventure style gameplay. So we're going to start off with the gameplay of Forces. First and foremost, among Sonic fans and maybe any game in general, solid gameplay is probably one of the most important aspects of a video game. After all, you are literally playing a game, so it makes sense to have good gameplay. Many Sonic fans have actually advocated for basically sacrificing any type of depth, storytelling, and character development for good gameplay. This is actually something I disagree with because I grew up idolizing Sonic for how great of a character he is, but you guys can let me know down below in the comments what you think about that. Anyways, let's compare the gameplay and then make the case for which direction Rangers should go in. Sonic Forces is quote-unquote a return to form after the absolute flop of Sonic Boom. It was hailed as a game that was brought to you by the team that made Generations and Colors. So pre-release, it seemed like we were really going to get a very solid title. Forces gameplay is pretty uninspiring compared to Colors and Gens. Forces had 3 different gameplay styles, which is actually more than I think Rangers will come with. The one redeeming quality is they at least tried something by adding the avatar. This is probably the premier feature of Forces, but it really doesn't do enough to set this game apart. I also don't really love it as a plot device to have this unnamed character kind of show up, but a lot of games are moving towards customization and unlockable cosmetics, which is one of the biggest features of the avatar, so I can't really fault them for this because it's not really something that hinders the game. The goal of the avatar's gameplay is to get to the end of the stage as fast as possible and run in a straight line and platform a bit along the way. It is very similar to modern Sonic gameplay without boosting. I was never really excited to play a level with the avatar because it's not another previously playable character or Sonic, and honestly it wasn't that fun. The next gameplay style is Modern Sonic. Modern Sonic's boost gameplay has literally been reduced to holding the boost button to win with the same old control scheme. Sonic gameplay is the reason why we play Sonic games, and it really doesn't live up to the standards of Unleashed, Colors, or Generations as far as boost gameplay goes. It's like the dumbed down version of boosting gameplay, and honestly, it has overstayed its welcome as the main mechanic of a Sonic game in my opinion. Overall, I think we need a change of pace from the boost, so I'm hoping Rangers moves away from the linear boosting levels as the main gameplay style. According to one of the leaks, there are boosting levels, but it isn't the main mechanic of the game. This is hinting that there might be times where the gameplay style isn't available, where it could be like a hybrid of adventure with boosting. I'm not really sure, and that really remains to be seen. The next gameplay style is Classic Sonic was added to the game because, well, yeah. So no one really knows why Classic Sonic is in this game, but he's in it. It's pretty similar to the gameplay style that we see in Generations, just with a weirder momentum. Classic Sonic has a drop dash, a jump, and a spin dash as his main attacks. I actually love the drop dash and think it's pretty fun to spam, but I think most people are sick of Classic Sonic being thrusted into these games, and we're definitely ready for him to stay as Classic Sonic and not be part of the mainline games. I don't think the Classic Sonic gameplay in this game is actually as bad as everyone makes it out to be, but it just feels like they ran out of ideas by putting him in this game. I am praying to God that Sonic Rangers does not have any 2D platforming whatsoever. I am so sick and tired of this gameplay style in a 3D game. If I want to play a game in 2D, I would play one of the classic titles. Rangers needs to move far, far away from the style because it has overstayed its welcome. I know a lot of people may disagree with this, so I really do want to see what you guys think in the comments down below. I just feel like putting a 3D game with 2D platforming is probably one of the dumbest things ever. It kind of works in the boost stages, but I really am just looking forward to moving past that. So moving on to SA1 gameplay. Everyone knows that SA1 was considered the rough transition to 3D, even though I personally consider it to be a near masterpiece of a title, and definitely let me know if you disagree with that down below. SA1 offers 6 different gameplay styles, which is 3 more than Forces. Each gameplay style is distinct from the other and offers the player a variety of ways to play the same game. For the sake of time, I won't cover all of them because I'm planning to do a separate retrospective on Sonic Adventure 1 in another video. In this video, I will be focusing on Sonic's gameplay because it looks like that's all we will get in Rangers according to the leaks so far. As stated earlier though, I think Rangers needs to offer at least 3 different gameplay styles, whether it comes from the form of separate boosting and adventure levels or playable characters like Knuckles or Tails, or whatever. I mean, really, I think we do need some separate gameplay styles. Let's break down the gameplay of Sonic though, and let me explain why Rangers needs to borrow inspiration from this to get the most out of the gameplay. In SA1, it truly feels like this is the exact formula of the 2D classics, just formatted entirely into 3D. The goal of this gameplay style is to get to the end of the level as fast as possible while platforming, gaining speed, and exploring the intricate level design. The ability to have multiple paths to clearing a level, sometimes saving a huge amount of time doing so, is the gift that keeps on giving to this day. It feels like I'm finding more paths and skips in all the levels, and this was something that made the 2D games great as well. The game truly rewards you for getting better at the game and makes you want to replay it and find out how you can get through it faster. One of the biggest positives about this game is the way that Sonic controls as well as his moveset. Almost everyone can agree that Sonic is an absolute blast to control in this game, and you truly feel like you have complete control over his jumps, speed, and movement. The spin dash is the most fun mechanic in this game, and it's almost game breaking, but it feels very satisfying to use. Sonic can use the spin dash to go fast paced and find many shortcuts in the level. This is a universally loved feature of the game, and it makes this game so fun to play even when you're just messing around in the hub world. I can literally be doing nothing but spamming the spin dash and jumping super high, but having so much fun doing so. Another one of his moves that are really satisfying are his jumping and homing attack. The jump feels like it has the perfect height and gravity, and you also always know how it's going to affect your gameplay. The homing attack is also fun and responsive as well, and it is always one of the most fun parts of Sonic games. I could probably spend all day talking about his moveset and how he just controls so well, but overall, we need to see this level of control with Sonic and Sonic Rangers. We don't really know what to expect, but the leaks suggest that it's going to be an open world game, so they have lots of ways that they can take it. One thing is for certain though, we need to see crisp controls and movement for Sonic. One of my least favorite aspects of any boosting title is how clunky he moves when platforming. It really doesn't feel great when moving around with him and makes 3D sections suffer a bit. Whether the new open world style contains boosting or goes more of an adventure route or maybe a hybrid of both, we need to see this level of momentum gaining, speed, and physics in the new title because it is truly a joy. If you aren't taking advantage of the spin dash and level exploration in SA1, I highly recommend you replay it with that in mind so you can truly appreciate what this game has to offer. SA1 offered a gameplay style that took what made the 2D style great and built upon that. It separated itself from other platforms at this time and really made a huge impact on the series going forward. Sega has largely abandoned the adventure formula following 06, but I think at the very least it can take some elements from this gameplay style and possibly improve upon it in Rangers. If the leaks hold true, an open world game is the perfect time to return to precise controls and utilize it to the fullest. I wouldn't mind the ability to boost in this game, but I do not want to see the boost formula of old make a return to this game as the primary gameplay style. Next, we'll look at the storytelling of both games and what direction Ranger needs to go in. I won't go too in depth in the stories because I'd prefer to cover that in a standalone video, but I want to focus on which story the newest title should draw inspiration from. The story of Forces is very bland and at times confusing in its storytelling. I really am not a fan of how it handles the hub world, and it really doesn't feel like an immersive story either. I can actually applaud the fact that it tried to somewhat take itself seriously, like there is actually something on the line, But, I mean, really, after the lackluster storytelling of the meta era, it really feels like a step in the right direction, but it's really just a baby step, and that's all it is. Even by looking at the main villain, Infinite, and comparing it to Perfect Chaos, it's kind of insane that without actually saying a single word, Chaos has a far more immersive character arc than Infinite. Infinite feels like a copy and paste avatar they slapped with a voice actor on just to sound like a villain, and it really fails to leave an impression as something memorable. And the same way with the rest of the story as well. It really fails to leave an impression as something memorable, and honestly, the characters display zero personality or depth. Especially when you see those talking heads in the corner, it really feels like you could replace any character in the story interchangeably, and it literally would not make a difference. Except Tails, who is clearly inferior to everyone else because they assassinated his character for whatever reason. We don't have much for Rangers, but I feel like it may be leaning towards focusing on the gameplay instead of telling an immersive story. Moving on to the story of SA1, we all know the story of SA1, but I want to go into why I think the series needs to make a call back to storytelling like this. It's not overly edgy and in-depth like a Shadow the Hedgehog, Sonic 06, or even Sonic Adventure 2. I'm not saying those are bad stories, and I actually prefer higher stakes storytelling, but the community is always divided on just about everything, so I think a story like SA1 can be a perfect compromise. The tone of the game has a perfect balance of high stakes, self-discovery, character development, and takes itself seriously. There is an existential threat to the world, and it is up to Sonic and friends to save it. The story isn't totally over the top though, and it has a perfect balance of the seriousness while being true to the world of Sonic. I love how there's actual character progression for all of the characters. For example, Tails starts off as Sonic's sidekick, but by the end is a hero in his own right. Amy becomes independent, Knuckles discovers his past and why it's not important. There are a lot of other developments, but I'll save that for a future project. My favorite aspect of this is how the game coherently tells its story with the use of the hub world. The hub world is perfect because it allows the players to put themselves into the shoes of the character without throwing them into a level or relying on cutscenes to tell the story. When I was a kid, the hub world felt so alive. This was because things that take place in the hub world are a reflection of what's going on in the story. It truly made the game feel like an adventure. I also love the idea of one central story being told in the perspective of 6 different characters that intertwine throughout. This was always mind-blowing to me as a kid, and I think it does a better job of making an immersive world than SA2 does. The world it's set in feels like a Sonic universe as well. In Forces, the hub world isn't really a hub world, and it really causes a disconnect in the cohesion of the storytelling. I was not impressed with how Forces told its story, and honestly, they made the game feel low budget. Even compare and contrast that with the storytelling of Unleashed. Unleashed felt like a cinematic masterpiece, while not being overly edgy and balancing the humor. The meta era really made Sonic feel like and act like a one-dimensional character, so I'm hoping we are really entering a new era of storytelling with Sonic Rangers, and I'm hoping that, like Unleashed or SA1, it can take itself seriously enough to make the player want to save the world, rather than press X to get through the shitty game as fast as possible and never play again. I'm hoping with the next title they make Sonic the coolest character in video games again, and please, for the love of God, retire the baldy McNosehair, fake 6-year-old humor, Sega. Stop making Sonic a one-dimensional cornball, because we need to return to the interpretation of the character that we all know and love. Also, we haven't gotten a Super Sonic boss fight in like over 10 years since Sonic Unleashed, and in SA1 we got a Super Sonic boss fight. I love when the stakes are high and it's up to Sonic to transform and save the world. So there's no doubt that we need to see that again, because it's very important that we make this character feel epic, as he's always been interpreted as. All in all, there's about 20 years that separates the first mainline title from the most recent one, and I think there's a lot that Sonic Rangers can be inspired from by the first 3D mainline game ever. The story needs to have higher stakes, it needs to take itself seriously, it needs to have character development, and most importantly, the controls and gameplay mechanics need to be smooth. The leaks seem to point in the direction that this will be an entirely new game altogether, and it may set the tone of the franchise for the next 10 years if it succeeds. If it can build upon the things that made SA1 great, balanced with improvements by modern technology and innovation, we may be in store for the greatest Sonic game yet. But that's all I have for today, so I really want to know what you guys think down below in the comments, and I really do appreciate everyone for coming to my video. I have much more in store for you guys, so please stay tuned. Other than that, I love you guys. Peace out. Make sure to get in my Twitter and Discord, which is in the description. Peace.